Hello, and welcome to the Divine Feminine Leaders podcast. My name is Celeste Hartwell, and we are a feminine view of entrepreneurship for women by women. And it's also holiday season here. And so we're going to be doing things a little bit differently this week and next week, being that next week is actually Christmas Eve is when we air. And I thought, how can I really provide value for the listeners as well as everyone who may have interest in this topic? And it really is about feeling happier through the holidays. So I just wanted to teach on 3 easier tips as to how we can move through the holidays in a more fun, more joyful, more blissful space. And this comes up because I'm fully aware that not everyone has the happiest family time around the holidays. It can be stressful. It can feel like there's a lot of obligation energy that goes on. There's a lot of trying to please other people instead of really coming inward and saying, is this really in alignment with who I am and what I desire for this holiday? And so wherever you are in this journey, I want to honor you. I see you, you're doing the best that you can. And that's all that any of us can ever do. So I know myself, I've had difficult times in the holidays before. There was a time where I really didn't see my family. I still now, like, I see them in Thanksgiving, and then I spend Christmas family with my partner's family, and that works really well for us now. But it's been an ebb and flow. There's been years where I was really resentful. I couldn't see my family. I had a very difficult time. And I wish I would have had these tools then. So that's partially why I am so thrilled. I mean, honestly, like, feel really, really grateful to be able to share these things with you that I've learned through my own journey to help you have an easier time this year. So I honor you for showing up. This is going to be a shorter episode than typical, just because I really appreciate your time and I honor you coming into this space with me. And so I really just want to tell you that I see you, I honor you, I love you, and again, you're just doing the best you can. That's the best that I could say. So without further ado, I wanted to talk about a few really easy tips that you can do. So one thing is that I've talked a little bit about the obligation energy already. Whenever there's obligation, any time that you see like, oh, I'm making a decision and it's not necessarily from a space that I feel really good about, it's just, it's very useful to take a couple minutes. And by the way, you can do this by just going into the restroom, like, spoiler alert, go into the restroom, take 5 minutes. And there are a number of meditation apps. I'll list a few, but really taking 5 minutes and sitting with yourself. Maybe it's a heated family argument. Maybe it's, why did I sign up for this? First of all, you get to decide whether you're going to fill the obligations that you've stated that you will do. And it's always okay to change your mind. There is nothing wrong with that. It's all for the highest good. So if you upset somebody, that's for them to look at. That's their triggers. And I speak that as a person who was a people pleaser for a long time. And now I'm much more clear about, like, where do I actually want to spend my energy, and honest with myself and with others. And that's a very empowering space to be. So again, sometimes this means, you know what, I signed up to do XYZ and I don't really feel aligned with that. And so I'm going to make a different decision. Now, I think communication is key here. And that means telling people as quickly as possible if you decide to bow out of something, right? Because people get frustrated, you don't feel good. I know I'm speaking from experience. I don't feel good when I know that I don't want to do something and I don't communicate it until the last possible second, right? That doesn't feel good to me. I'm not saying I don't still do it. It happens. But I'm better at it now than I used to be, or I would show up, and then you know what happens. You show up for something that you weren't really enthused about, or you do something that you weren't really aligned with, that you didn't feel good about, and then you feel resentful, right? Like, I didn't really want to do that thing anyway, and then I half-assed it. It happens. So whatever those emotions come up, I really like try to put them in a bubble and send them off to the edge of the universe to be transmuted, and then fill in with whatever energy you want. Maybe it's love or flow or ease or alignment or confidence or whatever your own energy can be really helpful in this particular instance. So again, if you're in the middle of a situation that maybe you signed up for and maybe you didn't really want to do, but you're doing it because you feel obligation and you have decided to continue to do that, that's good. That's okay. Like, it's all okay. There is no right or wrong here. There's no good or bad. I almost said good, but really it's wanted, unwanted, and there's no judgment. So do what you need to do, but if you need to take a breather from family, from friends, from whatever, you can go to the restroom, take 5 minutes. You don't even have to use the restroom. You can just shut the door and lock the door. And, you know, um, I'm going to suggest a few apps. So one of them is Awaken and Grow Flow app, and that is with Christine Agro. And I've showcased her on this podcast before. She is a spiritual teacher. She's been my spiritual teacher for a few years. And she has this really handy app that I know she's going to be supporting people through the holidays in a pretty profound way. And she has lots of great little meditations on there. So I just really encourage you to, that's an option. I like Insight Timer. You can find me on there if you want to connect, because they do kind of have a social media type thing. There's Headspace. I've heard of Headspace. I've heard of Simple Habit. Literally, you can go into your phone store, the Apple Store or the Google Play or whatever, and look up meditation. And you're going to come up with a million different options. So download the one that you feel is best for you. You can listen to something. They have guided meditations, as well as you can just do a timer and just say a mantra and breathe. Like, literally take deep, full belly breaths through your mouth and out through your nose, or in through your nose, out through your mouth, I think. Yeah, in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth. And just really like fill in your stomach and take 5 minutes by yourself. I know that for some women, that seems luxurious. It's your right as a human, as a person, as a soul, to nourish your own soul. And that, to me, is what helps make you happier through the holidays, as well as thrive through the holidays. And that actually is something Christine's going to be working on over the holidays as well. So I just invite you to use that tip. If you need something, look at the energy of it. You get to decide whether before you get there or not. And then if you decide to go through with it, decide the energy that you want to show up in. You get to create your intention around everything in your life. So I really want to empower you. That is our first tip, which is, again, take 5 minutes, look at the energy as how you're showing up, and be more conscious about it. The second tip, which kind of leads from the first one, is it's this notion of segment intending. And if you've listened to Abraham Hicks at all, Esther Hicks is a woman who channels. They don't like to call it channeling, but they facilitate a non-physical entity, which is a collective consciousness, uh, of Souls that talks about segment intending. So this is not my work. This is Abraham Hicks' work, but it's really powerful. So segment intending looks like, okay, I'm going to go to my in-laws' house as an example. And again, this has been my experience in the past. This is thankfully not my current reality. I'm going to go to my in-laws. Had I had this tool, man, would that have been a different experience. But I'm going to go to, I know that I'm on my way. I know that for the sake of this example, there's tension. Maybe they drink a lot. Maybe they talk politics and argue, and or they criticize each other, or they actually fight. I mean, there's lots of emotions that run very high through the family, through the holidays. So whatever that looks like, you can segment intend, which means that before you go, or even in the car, if, you know, you can do it while driving, but I suggest maybe not be driving while doing this. But maybe close your eyes for a couple of seconds and just intend, like, I'm going to go, and what is the best possible outcome for today? For me, that would have looked like we laugh, we connect, we enjoy food, we enjoy people's company, and then we know when to get out and we get out, right? Like, we know, we start to see when things are maybe going a little downhill, and we go, you know what, this was really great. I really appreciate this. Thank you for having us. We're going to go. And so then that's your segment intention, right? And you can also call this your fantasy life. And I love that. Like, that's my terminology, fantasy life. In my fantasy life, it looks like this. And to me, that's a way to kind of trick your brain a little bit, because the brain sometimes is like, well, but I know that's not what's going to happen, right? And the whole thing is that our energy, I call it energy, it is our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotions, right? And so if we have this thought and this belief, but we don't have the emotion that backs it up, we can't create that. And really, the whole point of this is to help you feel better and to feel more empowered and to really like visualize what this could look like in an ideal world. So ideal life, fantasy life, whatever. Like, oh my God, in my fantasy life, we go, we have a great time. Everyone gets along. And so the key here is not to harp on the things that you don't want, right? Don't harp on the, I don't want to see anybody fighting. I hope that Uncle Bill does not talk about politics. I hope that blah, 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 right? Like, I don't want anybody to bring up the dog fighting stuff that's going on. I don't want anybody bringing up this, that, the other, right? Like, that is not helpful for you. We are creating in our minds with our thoughts and our words and our visualizations. So what that means is in our writing. Visualization, writing, and speaking. These are the three ways that we create very, very powerfully. And speaking is not just speaking, it's also our thoughts. Our thoughts are prayers, every single one of them. That is not to overwhelm you. That is just to say, being conscious, coming into awareness is a practice. And I invite you to be a little bit more aware about how am I expecting this to be a horrible holiday? I might be. I used to. I mean, I did. And I was. And so our expectations are pretty powerful things. So don't sit there and segment intend or dream up your fantasy life thinking, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. No, what do I want? What do I desire? In my fantasy life, we go, we laugh, we enjoy the food. Everyone feels satiated by the food. Everyone feels comfortable. Everyone, you know, I feel comfortable. I feel open to communication with people on a respectful and a kind level. I understand, I have compassion for people, and I feel good about the way that I showed up today, and I feel good about hosting, or I felt good about what I brought. I felt good about people's reactions to what I brought. I feel good about the gifts that I gave. Maybe you know that you're a really great cook, so you always love seeing people's reactions. Maybe you know that you're a really great gift giver, so you always love seeing people's excitement over what you got them, that you were so thoughtful in that way. Like, what do you desire? And play in that thought space. And honestly, this is not a one-time thing. Like, this is not just for the holidays. Like, spoiler alert, this is everyday life. You can use this in every single moment, and it will shift your life so fast, so fast. Like, it's really incredible. So that is the second tip, is really feel into your fantasy life around the holidays. Maybe your fantasy life is to like run away and go to a vacation. I used to have a friend who used to do that. Like, they'd go to Ireland or Australia for the holidays, or the beach. Like, they just did, because that was what nourished them. They allowed all the obligation energy to just, nope, not here. It's not here. And they did what they desired. That fed their souls. So that is step two, fantasy life. And I love this because I do this all day, not all day, but I do this daily. Daily, I live in my fantasy life in my head around something. And it's a lot of fun. It feels very good to me. So I do it because I deserve to feel good. You deserve to feel good. You get to have what you desire. So again, at the end of the day, it's just between you and your feelings. That is what this work is all about. So, and the third tip, this is a practice. This is a practice. It is going to sound so simple, and we've been programmed to do something different, and we've been brought up in a society to do something different. So this is a practice, and it is refocusing on what you love. I will tell you, I have done this in the past. When I was having difficulties with some people in my life, I literally got a notebook, and I would show you my notebook, but there's writing on it. But I'll flip a page. But I got a notebook, and every morning I would write physically 3 things that I really genuinely appreciated about these people that I was having a difficult time with. And they didn't know it. I didn't tell them this. This was for me. This was so that I felt better. So if there are people like that in your family, you may want to start that now, doing it every day. Just 3 things that you actually really enjoy about them every day. I will tell you, this practice, I feel like I did it for like 30 days or 6 weeks. It shifted the dynamics in those relationships with those people. And I don't think it's because they changed. I'm going to be very honest. It was because I changed. And our external world is always a reflection of our internal world. And so when I chose just to continually go back to love, back to love, back to love, back to what do I really appreciate about them. If the thoughts came up during the day, I would release them, put them in a bubble, send them off to the edge of the universe. Or I would just go back to, what do I really love about that person? What do I really enjoy? Powerful. Really powerful. So you can do this before you get to holidays with people that maybe you have a difficult time with, or when you're in these situations, in any situations that you feel less than ideal, that you don't feel super happy about. What do you love about being there? It doesn't have to be about that person. It can be, I love the food. I love the camaraderie. I love that all of us are able to be here. I love that the people who were able to be here really showed up. I love that everyone pitches in. I love that. This is funny that this came up. I used to run a ladies group and I loved hosting potlucks. A, because I didn't have to leave my house, but B, because there is something special about a room full of women when there is cleanup to be done. And those women helped me every single event. And I was always so deeply grateful. So maybe your family helps you clean up, maybe they don't, but maybe you can focus on something else. Whatever feels right for you, whatever feels aligned, focus on that. And again, this is a life-changing tip, and it is a practice because we have been trained to look for the bad, to nitpick, to gossip, to tell the same stories that aren't working for us. And so when you shift that, it takes a little bit to do that. So it may not click this time, but maybe you'll think about it when you're in the moment, or maybe you'll go and take 5 minutes and then you'll be able to refocus on what you really appreciate. I really appreciate that I was able to take 5 minutes for myself, really appreciate myself for showing up in this way. I really appreciate the fact that we got here safely. I appreciate that, I always, when planes get delayed or something like that, I travel a fair amount. People are like, oh, doesn't that stress you out that your time, sometimes you miss connections because of the flights and whatever. And I'm like, you know what? If there is an issue with the aircraft, I want them to work on it. I just do. It's not a car. A car, yeah, having the car shut down or something while you were driving could be a pain. Not going to deny that. It's not normally not life-threatening. Being in a plane that doesn't malfunctions mechanically, that's a different story. You don't have a lot of options, right? So I'm always super grateful. And I just believe, this is my belief system, and this is something that I've worked on diligently and something that I help my clients with, which is mindset. What are your beliefs and what is coming up for you? And so I invite you to just try these things on. Whatever resonates, take it and borrow it and fit it on like a new hat or a new coat or a new necklace, and see if it fits, see if you like it, see if it feels right. And if it does, awesome. And if it doesn't, that's okay. That's okay. So again, I so appreciate you for tuning in, for watching this. I encourage you, if you know someone who is going to be going into the holidays, maybe they're lonely, maybe they're not going to be spending it with anyone that they love, and they need some of these tips. Next week I'll focus a little bit more on that. And I just really want to say that your listening, your viewership is just really touches my heart. I appreciate all the support. If you feel moved by this, I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear how this changes you. And if you feel like you need some support throughout the holidays, I invite you to reach out to me, because I would love to be a support for you. I've definitely been through dark times in my past. And in fact, I just had a friend today. I had sent him a photo from 2 years ago, and he was like, time really goes fast. He goes, when we took that photo, I thought that was the last time I was going to see you alive. And it could have been, and for a multitude of reasons. That holiday season was especially rough for me. So I'm really grateful to be here. I'm really grateful to be sharing this with you, and to just share love. And no matter where you are this holiday season, your journey is sacred. You're not doing it wrong. There is no right or wrong. It's just redefining and learning our preferences, and going about the the path the best way that we can. So my name is Celeste Hartwell. This is the Divine Feminine Leaders Podcast, a feminine view of entrepreneurship for women, by women, and our personal lives affect our business when we're entrepreneurs, and it affects everything. So that is why this particular series is extremely important to me. So I am sending you so much love, so much adoration, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Mwah.